Welcome back to GBGuns Armory, the series where we're looking back at stuff previously reviewed. Now that it's been out for a while, chances are you guys have heard something, seen something, experienced something. You bought it, a buddy had it, you saw it at a shop. This is the chance for you guys to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section, turning this into the virtual Reddit thread, if you will, on each of these models. And it's also my chance to talk about the touchy-feely part of the review now that the fact and performance-based review has been long done on the main channel. Today we're talking about the Tisas Bantam, a very handsome, nicely appointed single stack 9mm 1911, 4¼ inch. It's got the bob cut, which I freaking love because, let's see if I can maybe get this on camera for you. The palm of my hand, right there, meat of my hand gets bit or stabbed by straight mainspring housings. So having these rounded off ends makes it way more comfortable for me. This was a pistol that I was very excited to get in review because while it was at the time the most expensive Tisas offering in the US, it's still way cheaper than anything else that looks like it, anything near it. And Tisas, in my experience, and I've reviewed, I don't know, probably a dozen of their guns over the years, makes pretty good stuff. This one, as you guys may recall in the review, did not go so well. We tried a bunch of different mags. We had a couple feed issues, even with different magazines. There were just a few not quite there yet points on it, and that could have been break-in. It might be that the gun just needs more trigger time, and I admit I have failed to do that. You see, part of the problem and why we need this channel is over the main channel I'm shooting something new every week. Yes, it's a pain of joy, I guess you could say. It's a great thing. It allows me to experience lots of stuff. However, I rarely get the time to return to something that's been previously reviewed and spend much more time on it. It's part of why the videos are called shooting impressions, because those are our impressions from that range session. It's not an in-depth review. I'm not paid by any of the manufacturers. I'm not sponsored by any of the ammo companies. This is all out of pocket for me and our patron supports, and then the generosity and willingness of manufacturers to send something. I have a real job. I don't have time to just sit on the range all day and do these long, in-depth reviews. Plus, racing to get the next thing done the next weekend, sometimes guns go unshot for a while. And this is one that I think I need to take back out, because even though it's not optics ready and it's a single stack, boo-hoo, it's still a beautiful pistol. The potential is there. I mean, this, the way I felt about it at the time is you can buy an affordable 1911 and then dump some parts into it or send it to a gunsmith and spend a little more money to get everything dialed up. And then you've still got, on the exterior, a rather boring gun, or a gun that's going to need work if you want it to look as good as it's now going to shoot. And so what I found with this guy is it's got the looks and all the parts that are expensive to do or have done, like extra milling on the slide or going to a bob cut mainspring housing. All of that stuff is already done for you on this thing. It's just this gun didn't run so smoothly for us, and I don't recall enough, nor do I think I know enough to pass a judgment as to why. And so it was kind of disappointing and a little shocking, because like the Tanker Tisas, which is very GI looking, very simple build, this thing was spectacular. This was great. This was like every other Tisas reviewed. It's how this should have been, and this should have had the plus of the ergonomics and improved trigger and all that kind of stuff on it. But it didn't shoot that way. And I guess that is fair. I think that's something that happens with manufactured items. You still, every once in a while, get a lemon. I don't think this was a lemon. It's just something about it wasn't quite right. And so I was a little disappointed with it. Plus, it was not inexpensive. I bought this one at the time. They then disappeared, then could be found dirt cheap, like almost half the price that I paid for. So maybe there was a bad batch or something and there was a recall of some sort. I'm not aware of it. I do know from this gun and many other Tisas guns that they make good stuff. Something just wasn't quite right with this one. So I'm curious what your experiences are, because when I got this thing, I was proud of it, I was excited, and I was ready to show you all this spectacular find, this great deal with the Tisas Bantam. And unfortunately that just wasn't my experience, so I couldn't do it. And that's even more, in a way, disappointing than when I just have a gun and I'm just like, okay, I'll review it, I'll let the facts speak for themselves and go. This was one that I was emotionally interested in prior to shooting it, and then the range session just wasn't that great. If I get the time, I'll take it out again and do a follow-up on it, and maybe study a little more closely. That's another thing with the basic review format, is I don't have the time, nor is there room in the review setup for me to stop and really diagnose some things. Now, there are exceptions to that, like the Gear Sound Witness 2311. I was able to diagnose that on the spot because that was pretty simple. Also had a little more time that day. But I get this is just the drawback of being a real person with a real job and other things to do in life, and not being a professional gun tuber, if you will. But let me know if any of you picked up a Bantam, what your experience was, and what your thoughts are on it, or what you've heard, versus one of the regular classic Tisas 1911s, because I think they're pretty darn good guns. My dad bought one of these based on my review, and that's the level of seriousness that I take these reviews, is, well, family or loved one want one based on what I say, and I have no qualms about it with the way this went, and he's enjoyed his gun quite a bit, aside from, of course, the fact that it's generally a dated style. The sights are larger, but they're gray, so they're hard to see, whereas like this guy, you get the nice blacked out rear and fiber optic front sight, and the sight is swappable versus this, which is machined in. So as you can see, there's always something. And the saga of the Bantam. And now if I were one of those regular guys, I would have immediately flipped this thing. I would have taken it to the local shop and put a good price on it and let it go be someone else's problem. But I don't believe in doing that. One, I think that's an irresponsible and almost rude thing to do, because you don't know who's purchasing it and what for. If I had an imperfect gun and I flipped it at the local shop and it was purchased by someone who desperately needed a gun and that's what they could afford and they knew nothing about guns, now you're putting someone else's safety, security on you just offloading a bad gun. I don't think that's cool. I think if anything's ever sold, it should be fixed before it's sold, just as being a good person. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about all this. Kind of a ranty one, but that's the fun of the Armory series. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.